So we finally have the Game of the Year nominations. Today I'm going to be showing who I'll be voting for. There might be some hot takes, things might get heated, but I think this will be a bit of fun. I've not really looked too much into who will be nominated, so this will be my kind of raw reaction. But yeah, let's get right into it. So we have already with Game of the Year, we've got Astrobot, Bolotaro, Black Myth Wukong, Shadow of the Earth Tree, Final 7 Rebirth, and Metaphor Fantasio. I've played most of these games. What would I pick though? I'm of the belief, like a lot of people seem to be flaming the DLC being nominated. I think it's fair. I think it's fair game. My only issue is it opens the floodgates for like more predatory DLC. But in terms of like the starting game to be a DLC nomination, I don't think you get any better than Shadow of the Earth Tree. However, I don't think it's Game of the Year nomination worthy. Not because it's a bad expansion, but personally I just think it's less of Elden Ring. You know, I wasn't a big fan of the scatter tree mechanic with leveling up. I wasn't a big fan of the map. You kind of start in the middle and it's kind of it's difficult to navigate around. There's some really weird like linear sections as well, like with the stealth section that lasts about like 5 minutes. It's really strange. I will say though, similar to like what FromSoft do best, the bosses in Shadow of the Earth Tree are great. I was a little let down by the final boss, but overall it's well worth the asking price. That is basically a whole game. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's like, I wouldn't personally say it's nomination worthy. Like I said, I've not played Black Myth Wukong or Bolotaro. Astrobot's a good one. I think that does deserve it to some degree. You know, Sony's finally like bringing out games that aren't just realistic characters. Some cartoon flair for what they're known for in the PS1 era. But yeah, a part of me wants to vote Astrobot, but I'm more interested in over here. We have Rebirth and Metaphor Fantasio. Now these two games are the best, by far, in my opinion. You know, I cover quite a lot of JRPG content, and it's really difficult. So Metaphor Fantasio, I'll show some gameplay on screen by the way. It's not just gonna be me staring at the website. Metaphor Fantasio is really, really good. You know, I always wanted Atlas to kind of leave the whole Persona keep the Persona DNA, but leave the whole school setting. And Metaphor really addresses that. You know, you got a nice fantastical setting. There's all these like different races. Things get kind of heated. You know, the combat is, I would say, is better than Rebirth. However, one of the most important aspects of any JRPG is the story. And obviously, without saying too much, the game's still recent. I was a little disappointed by Fantasio's story. The first half's great, but the second half, towards the final act, for me personally, kind of waned a little bit, kind of dipped. The characters are great though. I really love all the accents. They have nice, like, kind of medieval speech. But yeah, I've slowly gotten to my favorite here. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. God, this game deserves more. Like in terms of everything, community, sales, Rebirth really delivered on everything. You know, everything's like fully voice acted. It's the best polished game I've ever played. Like it's not overly polished. Like there's no like insane like pause or developers spending thousands of hours and thousands of like dollars on just stupid stuff. Like everything in Rebirth feels pristine and of quality. And my god, I'm looking forward to the third part. But yeah, I'm kind of dragging on a bit. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go with Rebirth because of not only the story, but the combat, the open world, and you really can't beat the cast of Final Fantasy VII. Where they're going with this story is kind of insane, but that's kind of the whole joy of it. Yeah, I think this game got snuffed, and I'm glad it's on the nomination. Out of all these games, I feel like Rebirth deserves it the most. The developers are pretty much dedicating their life to this whole remake project. Like they're well aware of how much it costs and how much time it takes. We'll probably be at the PS6 by the third part. So yeah, let's move on. Let's vote for Final Fantasy VII. Next category. It's a bit of loading, unfortunately. The site's crashed like 5 times, so I'm hoping nothing goes wrong. Oh, best game direction. Oh, what's this? Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Okay, so like I said, not played Bolotaro, not played Wukong. You know, Elden Ring, it's a bit hard to say because it is DLC. You know, there's not, it's the same game direction and design. Creative vision. Astrobot's got some pretty creative levels. Metaphor's got some creative like art direction, like the human designs you see on this box art. There's some really funky designs. And obviously Rebirth is like going crazy with what you can do with a game series. Like they're I don't want to spoil it, but they're really like leaning into all sorts of directions. Like, if you're a big fan of Final Fantasy VII, you're in love with Rebirth. Like there's no way. It's like the Smash Ultimate of JRPGs. It's just so tightly knit. But yeah, without spending too long on this, I'm actually gonna go with Astrobot just for the levels. You know, each level is completely unique. You're never grinding or spending like a long time in a section of a game. Astrobot has the best pacing out of all these games, hands down. It's short, it's sweet, and every level's great. So I'm be voting for Astrobot here. Okay, hopefully we'll get some new games here, some different games. I'm running out of things to say on these games already. But yeah, it's loading. I'll probably cut these loading scenes. Best narrative. Well, we have some different games. We have Rebirth again, Infinite Wealth. I'm playing through the Yakuza series. Unfortunately, I'm not at Infinite Wealth just yet. I'm at Yakuza 5. Anyway, ReFantazio, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. Okay, so I've not played the remake. I played the original. I would say like Silent Hill 2. But it's hard to say because I've not played the remake, so I'm not sure if that's like justified decision. I know I was gassing up Rebirth, and it is worth every second. And like I said, Metaphor kind of disappointed me a little bit with the story at the end. I'm glad it's on here though. I was really afraid Metaphor was going to get snuffed. Like social media was not talking about the game as much as I thought it would. So for me, it's going to be between Silent Hill 2, Fantasy VII Rebirth. See, with Rebirth, you run the risk of like, it's part 2 of a trilogy. I have a lot of faith in the directors, but will they stick part 3? You know, part 1 was great, part 2 was outstanding, way better than part 1, with the open world and more levels and characters and all that. But I'm gonna play it safe and actually say Silent Hill 2, solely for the narrative, which is what this category is all about. Not as game, as narrative. Okay, let's move on. Okay, best art direction. Now, all these games have gorgeous art styles. I remember, you know, Shadow of the Erdtree as well. Like, even though it runs in the same engine as Elden Ring, I absolutely love the way that game looks. Like with the Erdtree, and I forgot the name of the main enemy. What was his name again? That was it, Mesmera. Mesmera's design with the snake. That was really cool. The final boss looked cool, but was a little disappointing, like I said. Astrobot looks phenomenal. Astrobot really is the definition of like using a game's engine and using the power of the PS5 to not do boring things with it. Like there's just a ton of really cool things to do with the physics engine, like the balls are going crazy. There's a bunch of really weird like transformations, you know, like an elephant and a dog and all that. Astrobot really is like what you can do fun with a lot of like intensive resources, like with the PS5. I sound like Mark Cerner. I'm not good. Anyway, yeah, I wish I played Never. Came out, you know, last month, and there was a lot of games coming out, so it kind of got overshadowed for me. But I do want to play Never at some point. But I'm gonna go with Metaphor ReFantazio. If you look at that game, it looks insane. I know the resolution's a bit low, and some people have said how there's issues with PC. I played the PS5 version; it ran fine. But yeah, the character designs as well, because they're all different races. They all have quite different character designs, which is really cool. Because anime, in my opinion, has a lot of issues with everyone looking the exact same. But Metaphor is pretty good with that. Like the races all have pretty out there designs. Yeah, I'm going with Metaphor for this. Wow, an error. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, this site's, you know, it's keeping it together. So we've got best score in music: Astrobot, Rebirth, ReFantazio, Silent Hill to Celebrate. So I've technically played all these games. I have not played the remake, but I know the music to Silent Hill 2. All right, like I've listened to some of the remake tracks, and that's good. Astrobot, you know, you got like the techno kind of music with the atmosphere. Rebirth had a lot of really interesting like lyrical tracks, and it had all those piano sequences, which was fun. Stellar Blade, I'll get more on my opinion on that game later when we get to those sections, but I had a good soundtrack. But there's a whole part where you like save and there's like a record to play different songs. I'm going off of like the vanilla game. I've not played the patches, but there was like 2 songs and they repeat it a lot. So yeah, the soundtrack to Stellar Blade, it's got the quality, but it's not got the quantity. So yeah, I'm not really gonna go with that. ReFantasio has one of the best battle tracks of all time. They hired like a priest to do the battle theme. I was reading a review the other day, and he was just saying how surprised he was with how it was the music director. I was surprised at how many people liked the soundtrack to this game. It's really fun. It's like, I don't know how to explain it as, like how to describe it, but it's just really epic, especially the boss theme. I'm literally gonna go over ReFantasio. I remember with my video, some people was harking on the music, but it's that good, trust me. Like, I do feel bad for Rebirth, but I'm gonna show some love for ReFantasio here. I'm glad we're getting a lot of JRPG rep this year. You know, Xenoblade 3 got snuffed back in 2022. It got like no awards, and it was on everything. I'm hoping this year, you know, let the JRPG fans pull up. Anyway, let's carry on. Best audio design. This one don't matter that much, but I'm gonna go with Astrobot because of the stuff it does with the DualSense controller, I suppose. Not really a whole lot to say, but the sound effects are really satisfying, so yeah, without harking on, I'm not gonna go all in depth on the sound effects of Call of Duty's guns. Like, that ain't my speciality. Okay, best performance. I actually know these guys. So we got Luke Roberts, Melina. I'm gonna do some research real quick. I'll be right back. Oh, okay, so Brianna White voices Aerith. So yeah, I'm voting for her. Aerith is a great character. Her voice is amazing. So yeah, that's a short segment. I think the site's crashed again. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. There must be a lot of like traffic at the minute. You know, everyone's trying to get their votes in. We have innovation and inaccessibility. We're kind of just gonna skip this one. I think it's cool. There's a lot of innovation, inaccessibility options in gaming. You know, I'm all down for more options. However, I can't truly appreciate them because I just don't think about them that much. I'm gonna vote for Prince of Persia because it's a Metroidvania, and I like Metroidvanias. Okay, hopefully it doesn't crash this time. Come on, site, you can do it. Stay alive. Okay, here's where I kind of show my kind of weakness here, because I have not played any of these games, unfortunately. Games for Impact. I know Jeff, I was just watching the live stream, Jeff's all like, you know, indie games do what mainstream games don't. I kind of made a video on that, just saying. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna vote for Never solely because I like Grizz. Grizz was really good. Perfect, like 2-hour game. I'm hoping Never's the same thing. I'm just gonna go based on the track record of the developers. So yeah, best ongoing. Okay, these are all live service games. I'm gonna get too cynical with this video, but I don't like live service games at all. They wind me up, you know, all these patches and changes. Some of them are pretty like respectable, like Helldivers 2. That's a respectable live service game. But most of the time, it's just like the binge gaming, like daytime television equivalent to gaming. You know, tons of like malicious monetization practices. I'm gonna shut myself up and just vote Helldivers 2 here. Oh, community support. I just go with No Man's Sky. There really isn't much to say on these categories. They're kind of, you know, filler. Don't sound mean. The best independent game. Once again, I'm showing my lack of culture. However, I have looked a lot into UFO 50. It's on my wish list on Steam. I love the concept of UFO 50. It is a indie game where it's a game console. If you've ever watched the Action 52 episode of AVGN, I just love that concept, but for an actual good game instead. So I'm gonna vote for this solely for its concept of being a game console. And you got a library of just random games. I think that's so cool, like a fictional game console. Anyway, best debut indie game. I have a lot of respect for these games in particular. Plucky Squire, I want to play at some point. You know, Ken Sugimori, the Pokemon art director, he left Game Freak and made his own game. So I'm gonna vote for Plucky Squire solely for his, like, I don't know, I have a lot of respect for the guy. He's alright, he is. Best mobile game, oh god. Oh, I ain't gonna say my hot takes, but like, I have to say my hot takes to really get my point across. I don't have respect for a lot of these games, but Bolataro seems to be good from what I understand. I ain't talking about no MiHoYoverse game. We'll be here all day. Oh man, I love VR gaming, but it's one of those things where it's like the price of the system versus the library. You spend like a couple hundred and then you'll play like 5 games. So I can't really justify it in this day and age, but I used to play some VR games on the first generation PSVR. Like the first Astrobot game was amazing. But yeah, so we're just gonna kind of meme through this one. I like this guy's hat, so we're gonna go with this game. Okay, best action game. Oh boy, I am going to say my hot take on Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade, I don't want to turn this into a review, but like, I'm a bit conflicted with it because on one hand, the environments are stunning. A lot of the movement and there's aspects about that game I respect and appreciate. However, I do not like the combat. The combat is a weird mix of Sekiro, Devil May Cry. You have like a devil trigger move. You have parrying like in Sekiro. You have cooldown meters like in what's the name of that Switch game I really like? Astral Chain. That's it. You have like cooldowns like Astral Chain, but then it's also like slow paced like a FromSoft game. So you've got like lock on and you're stuck to that enemy. But then you can also hit stun the enemy into oblivion. So like instead of, I don't know, the combat of that game feels like they looked at a bunch of other good combats and just kind of meshed them all together. The story is very disappointing. The way they do the endings is really weird because the game also does what FromSoft do, where it like saves everything you do. You can't turn off autosave. So like if you get to the end and you want to see the other endings, you gotta play the whole game again pretty much. And it's a bit lame. Like I like to save stack. I love save stacking just so that I can come back and see other scenes. That being said, Stellar Blade is the only game here that I played. But I will be voting for it. So yeah, massive contradiction. There are aspects of this game that are good. However, like it's the kind of game that if they did a sequel, a kind of soft rebooted everything, just scrap the story didn't do very well. Keep the engine, the engine's great. You spent like hours. Like they spent so long on the engine for that game. They can't scrap it. It's like Breath of the Wild. It's like it's so like just keep it. Don't start from scratch. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, Stellar Blade, if it gets a sequel, I think it could be a lot better. Best action adventure. For the best action adventure game combining combat and traversal with puzzle solving. Ah man, okay, so I have not played Prince of Persia or Star Wars Outlaws. I have a lot of disrespect for Star Wars Outlaws. If you remember, Ubisoft did like a really weird gold edition. They were saying how it's the first quadruple A game or something. It's stupid. Anyway, I really like the puzzles in Echoes of Wisdom. Really good game where they kind of ripped away some of the more conventional Zelda mechanics and flipped it on the head with the whole like lack of combat and how you can mimic enemies. A part of me wants to say Astrobot as well, but I don't know, I felt like I enjoyed the gameplay of Echoes of Wisdom a tiny bit more. Although Astrobot is my favorite genre, 3D platformer. You really can't beat a good 3D platformer. I'm gonna go with Echoes of Wisdom and then I'm gonna move on. Best RPG. For the best game design with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. Alright, something's wrong with that. That description is really bad. Like, the first half is like a single player game, and then they just added like an MMO. Like literally like MMO, like almost like whatever. Whoever wrote that's a bit weird. Didn't play Dragon's Dogma, didn't play Yakuza, but I played the rest. Best RPG. If we're talking combat, I really like ReFantazio over Rebirth. I don't know, when it comes to RPGs, I more or less like, Shadow of the Erdtree, if you want to class it as an RPG, I don't want to hate on this game, on the DLC. I love Shadow of the Erdtree, it's a good DLC, but it ain't a good RPG because it's the scatter tree fragments, there's no leveling up. It's right there, like they put like progression here. Like your progression in Shadow of the Erdtree is get a scatter tree fragment and you get stronger, or you deal more damage. Like there's nothing there. Whereas Rebirth, you've got skills, you've got all sorts to unlock, spending like SP on. Nari Fantasio, Jesus, man, if you played this game, there are like a million classes, and they all have really fun, like, you can change every character's kit, every character's weapon. You can have everyone be a healer, everyone be a tank. A bit like Xenoblade 3, but even more crazy. So yeah, it's going to be a bit contradictory, but I'm going to go with ReFantasio here solely because the combat is really fun. I could easily just play more ReFantasio combat. Like I said, the story disappointed me, but if we get rid of the story, then the combat is king out of these three. Like I said, I don't want to dunk on Shadow of the Erdtree too much. I feel like I've been a bit mean to it, but it's just like, now that it's in the lot of... Oh, I've crashed again. I'll be right back. I know, actually, we'll wait for it to reload. I was going to, gameplay footage over it, so I don't know what I'm going to show, but there'll be some cool gameplay footage that I've been playing. But yeah, Shadow of the Erdtree, now that it's a DLC and it's competing with the home console games, like the solo releases, we are starting to see the sort of dynamic shift between... I mean, I'm not siding with a lot of what Twitter's been saying, because I hate Twitter's opinion. Don't go on Twitter, Twitter's awful. But like, it is starting to fall apart as like a... It's really hard to say, but on the same level as a fully made game versus a DLC. Like you start to see the cracks when you start comparing it to these other games. Like, obviously they're varying quality, but it's just one of those cases where it's really hard to... Like, they should have been in its own category. There should have been a DLC category, not Shadow of the Erdtree as a game. I think that's where they kind of messed up here. Anyway, it loaded. We haven't crashed yet. Well, I mean, we crashed a few times, but whatever. We bowling. Best fighting game, but the best game designed primarily around head-to-head combat. Alright, so I played a few of these. Have not played the new Multiverses change. Like, it had like a whole... It went down, it came back up. I've heard mixed things, at least. You can't go wrong with Marvel, but it is a re-release. I did play Fantasy Versus quite a bit. I do like that game, but it's very like, there isn't much room for like player expression. Every character kind of shares similar combo strings. Plus, like, I don't want to sound mean, but I'm a bit iffy when it comes to anime fighters. I don't like how you can block in the air, which is a bit rich because I really like Marvel vs. Capcom, and that's like the most anime fighter of all time. I can't say too much about Tekken 8, I suck at Tekken, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Marvel because I've wanted them to re-release this game for years, and it's really cool that they re-released it. Best Family, this is a weird category. So like, on the metric of best family game, Astrobot, Zelda, and Plucky Squire, you kind of lose. Oh, and Peach, because like, they're not built for like, they're single player games. You know what I mean? So like, you can't play those games with a family unless you want to watch it. I would probably say Astrobot here, but it's like, most families aren't playing on the PS5, they're playing on the Switch. Jamboree was incredible. And I'm, going off with the metric, like if I had my family and I was going to play a game with them, I'd play Jamboree. I won't play these other games. Like, as good as they are better, but it's like, this is what I mean by the Game Awards. Like, there's some metrics that aren't well thought out. Like some games are just different to one another, to where you can't have them in the same category, which is why I'm quite, not negative, but critical about Shadow of the Erdtree. It should have been in its own category. Anyway, I'll stop harking on that. Best strategy in a sim game, look, it's Unicorn Overlord, alright? Like, that game deserves more love. Vanillaware are some of the best developers ever. I've mentioned them a few times in my previous videos. You just can't go wrong with a good Vanillaware game. They spend years on these, and the developers are pretty cool, They nearly went under trying to make this game. They spent so much money on it and like risked a lot to get it out. This category sucks. I'm gonna be completely honest here. Like, this really shows that sports and racing games suffer from like simulation fatigue. Like, where's the goofy cartoony racing games? Where's the goofy cartoony sports games? Well, you can't make them because EA owns FIFA, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not going to harp too much on this, but I just hate... can I skip this one, actually? I think you can. Yeah, I'm actually going to skip this because I have no respect for any of these properties. They're all just yearly trough. I don't want to vote for any of them. Anyway, Jamboree's great. If you play Jamboree with a friend online and you get chance time, you can make some very funny moments. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jamboree. Best adaptation. Okay, I've not watched any of these. I've heard mixed things about the Amazon Yakuza series. Actually, I've not heard mixed things. I've heard negative things about this series because they did not play the source material. I've heard amazing things about the Fallout one. Same with Arcane. Mixed things with Knuckles. You know, I've heard that people didn't really like it's not really got a whole lot to do with Knuckles. It's very like random skits. And this is a bit too recent and I don't really know much Tomb Raider lore. So yeah, I'm gonna actually go with Fallout just because of like the buzz. I let the buzz do the talking with that one. Most anticipated game. Alright, this one's amazing. Death Stranding 2, On the Beach. I did not know that was its full title. Ghost of Yotei. GTA 6, Prime Beyond, Wilds. The beta for Wilds was amazing. And Death Stranding 2 was really good. Death Stranding 1 was really good. I've been hyped for that sequel, but I am going to go with Metroid Prime Beyond because it's Metroid Prime. We've been waiting a whole console generation for 4 to come out, and I'm really excited. I feel like this is going to be the last Switch game. It'll probably be a cross-platform game with the Switch successor. Best content creator. I don't know any of these. I know Pecora because of the screaming, but I'm going to skip this one. No disrespect, I just don't want to say that I have an opinion because I don't. You know, sometimes it's good to just stay in your lane. I don't know these people. I don't have to have an opinion. I don't want to pretend that I hate them. That's what most people default to, is just hate. Best esports game. I just hope Valorant doesn't win, because if you remember last year, there was a lot of Valorant and it was really annoying. But yeah, once again, I'm gonna skip this one. Esports was great, like especially with Evo, but I've kind of dropped off. The older I get, the less interested I'm in. But I'm glad that people are able to like still be competitive. I'm glad it's like acknowledged more. It's a shame not many of the venues get like profit. And a lot of it is in the red, but from what I understand, it's still like people still like esports. I've just kind of dropped off over the years. Same with the athletes, I'm gonna skip. Yeah, I don't recognize any of these, so we're just gonna keep on trucking. 3 rounds, 3 chances to vote. What's this? So yeah, the player's voice is where the actual players get to pick who gets nominated, and it will whittle down between 30, 10 to just 5 to find out like who the actual people voted for, not just for the Game Awards like jury folk who we don't know, but they get to pick the nominations. But this is the only category that we get to pick. So yeah, that'll be exciting. But yeah, I guess this is where the voting ends. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for watching. Please let me know who you voted for in the comment section. I'm curious. I hope I didn't get too heated with my hot takes. But I hope this was an interesting video. This is my first unscripted video, so I hope things weren't too humming and ahhing. But yeah, thanks for watching and have a nice rest of your day.